Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at the top PC games coming out in March of this year. So I try to gather a few of my favorites coming up, as well as making sure to include as many genres as possible, as we gamers all have different tastes. So, let's get started. First up is Elex II. Now, Elex II is an open world RPG that boasts massive environments, and you will be able to unravel the secrets any way you want. Now, the game is set in a post-apocalyptic world with many different factions to interact with, as well as a diverse environments to explore. Now, the story allows us to make decisions, and those decisions or actions that we take will have consequences and change your moral standing with the NPCs. So these NPCs will remember your choices and react accordingly, either willing to help you or leave you hanging. The original Elex game came out in 2017 and is still fairly popular among RPG fans, so hopefully this sequel can expand on the original and just make it better. So don't sleep on Elex 2, guys. I think this one definitely has some potential. Now my next choice is Far Changing Tides. This game is labeled as an atmospheric vehicle adventure game. It's really a fantastic looking puzzle platformer that was recently a finalist for the Music and Sound Awards. Now, just by listening to the music and the cinematic, I can definitely see why it was a finalist for sure. I'm sure the music throughout is going to be great, it's going to be very appealing, and it really seems to fit the game perfectly. Now, the story is about an emotional journey of a boy and his ship trying to find a new home. Now, throughout the game, we must captain the ship, of course, through high seas, intense storms, and dive into perils of the deep. So along the way, we would be tasked with fixing the faults on the ship, unlocking different parts, and searching for fuel and other salvage to help us with our journey. I believe Far Changing Tides can be appreciated by a much broader audience than just the puzzle lovers out there, and I think it's sure to be a hit. Now next up we have Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, this is a first-person supernatural action game. There are parts of the game that I would even say would probably qualify as a horror genre. Now, in the setting of the game, Tokyo is overrun by deadly supernatural forces, causing the population to vanish. Now, we must take vengeance and master a powerful arsenal of abilities to get to the truth behind the disappearance. So the game creators call this version of Tokyo Beautifully Haunted, and I can see why. We will experience an ultra-modern cityscape that still has its original feel, and we can discover iconic landmarks along the way that have been given incredible detail. Now, aside from the great look of the game, we must also wield a combination of elemental powers and ghost hunting skills to combat the supernatural enemies. Sounds good? Now, the combat system is also very detailed. It requires certain hand gestures to provide attacks instead of a traditional weapon. Now, this unique hand gesture system is referred to as karate meets magic, so expect some pretty cool combat in this one for sure. Now, the next one up is definitely a weird one in my eyes. This indie action simulation is actually called Weird West. We as players must survive and unveil the mysteries of this Weird West through the intertwined destinies of its unusual heroes. Now, this game is being brought to us by the co-creators of Dishonored and Prey, so I do have high hopes for this one. Now, Weird West is a dark fantasy where the Wild West is reimagined, where lawmen and gunslingers share the frontier with unique creatures, each having their own rules and motives. As we move through the story, we will discover the world through the different characters until it all comes together in the final chapter. Now, this immersive sim supports different styles of play in a sandbox environment, where the characters, factions, and places react to the player's decisions. Now, this may seem like somewhat of a strange pick, but I really think this one has a lot of merit and it's worth a look.
Welcome to the Weird West.
So last but certainly not least, I can promise you will have a blast, especially if you enjoy any kind of action RPG shooter that's related to Borderlands. That game is Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Now, we get to shoot, slash, and cast our way through some pretty unique monsters on our way to defeat the Dragon Lord. Now, the vast world we get to explore is filled with majestic cities, mushroom forests, massive fortresses, and so much more. Now, we can explore and destroy in single-player action, or, better yet, or team up with up to 3 other friends for some memorable online play. Now, the hero customization system in this game looks very deep and allows us to create a multi-class hero. So we'll be allowed to mix and match 6 unique character skill trees, which are all packed full of unique abilities. So to me, the replayability of this game seems to be somewhat endless. Now, I personally am a huge fan of the Borderlands series. This game seems to be right up my alley. It is an offshoot from Borderlands, of course. I can't wait to jump into this one with some friends and blow some shit up.
I'm in.
You ready, newbie?
Time for character sheets, baby!
Now, before I let you guys go, there is one last game to mention. It's a game that's already come out, but it's a downloadable content that's coming out very soon in March. That is the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC that is coming for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, you know there are some game developers that really do the cinematics justice, but Ubisoft really goes above and beyond with Assassin's Creed, especially this DLC. It's definitely worth watching, guys. Now, for this DLC, we can expect more great battles with flame and frost giants, as we see in the trailer, as well as many other enemies to battle. Now, this DLC brings about a lot of mythological elements that tell a whole new story. Ubisoft says this DLC is very large and should give us around 35 hours of additional gameplay, which may not include exploring the entire open world map. So one of the most anticipated elements of this DLC is the new Valkyrie Challenge. Now, this is a battle arena where players can face off with new and old foes alike to earn different rewards. It will be interesting to see how this plays out, as well as how Ubisoft incorporates the new map, new boss fights, new enemies, and so much more into the game. So thanks for watching, guys. It looks like March is going to have a lot of great games to offer, not just for PC, but across all consoles. And already, 2022 is looking like a great year for gaming.
Fire of death.
But it's okay to cry, and it's alright to fall. Everybody go.
Avenge us, almighty Odin. For only a god can kill a god.
Everybody die.